Document. Part 1. Centuries ago, Earth was not a place of peace. The leaders of the world had grown powerful and selfish. They controlled everything: food, water, energy, and even people's lives. But there were those who didn't agree with their ways. Rebels, thinkers, and ordinary people who spoke out against injustice were seen as threats. Instead of listening to them, the rulers decided to get rid of these troublemakers once and for all. Ethan Cole was one such person. He wasn't a fighter or a loud protester. He was a scientist, quiet and thoughtful, working on projects that could have helped millions. But his ideas were dangerous to the people in charge. When he discovered proof of corruption at the highest levels of government, he tried to share it with the world. Before he could, though, he was arrested. The authorities accused him of crimes he never committed: treason, sabotage, and theft. His name was dragged through the mud, and no one believed him when he said he was innocent. Rachel Monroe was different from Ethan. She was bold and fearless, a journalist known for uncovering secrets others wanted to keep hidden. Rachel had written articles exposing lies told by politicians and corporations. Her words inspired many, but they also made her enemies. One night, while investigating a story about illegal experiments being conducted in secret labs, she was caught. Like Ethan, she was branded a criminal and sentenced to exile. The punishment for dissidents like Ethan and Rachel was harsh. Thousands of people deemed undesirable by Earth's leaders were rounded up and forced onto massive colony ships. These ships were old and poorly maintained, more like prisons than vessels meant for travel. Families were torn apart, belongings were taken away, and hope seemed lost. No one knew where the ships were going. All they knew was that they would never see Earth again. As the ships left orbit, many aboard felt despair. Some cried, others sat in silence, staring out at the shrinking blue planet that had betrayed them. Ethan kept to himself, trying to make sense of what had happened. Rachel wandered the crowded halls of the ship, talking to anyone who would listen. She refused to give up, even in the face of such cruelty. "We'll survive this," she told Ethan one day. "They think they've silenced us, but they haven't." Weeks turned into months as the ships drifted further into space. Supplies dwindled, and tensions rose among the passengers. Fights broke out over food rations, and sickness spread quickly in the cramped quarters. It seemed like the journey might kill them all before they reached whatever destination awaited them. Then, something unexpected happened. One of the ship's sensors picked up a signal, faint but steady pulse coming from a nearby star system. The crew analyzed the data and realized it came from a planet shrouded by a thick nebula. Curious and desperate, they decided to investigate. What they found changed everything. The planet was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its atmosphere was breathable, its soil fertile, and its waters clean. There were forests teeming with life, mountains towering above plains, and rivers winding through valleys. It was perfect a second chance for the exiles. They landed on the surface and stepped out into a new world, leaving behind the cold metal walls of the ship for the first time in months. Ethan and Rachel stood side by side as they looked around. For the first time since their exile, they felt a glimmer of hope. This place could be home. Together, the settlers began to build shelters, plant crops, and establish communities. They named the planet Haven, a word that symbolized safety and refuge. But even as they worked to create a new life, the pain of their past lingered. Stories of Earth's betrayal were passed down from one generation to the next. Children grew up hearing tales of how their ancestors had been cast out like garbage. These stories shaped the culture of Haven, instilling a deep sense of resilience and determination in its people. Ethan became a teacher, sharing his knowledge of science and engineering with younger generations. Rachel wrote books, chronicling the history of their journey, ensuring that no one forgot where they came from. Though they were far from Earth, the memory of its injustice burned brightly in their hearts. Haven thrived over the years, New technologies were developed using materials salvaged from the colony ships and resources found on the planet. The settlers built farms, schools, and workshops. They created laws based on fairness and cooperation, rejecting the oppressive systems they had fled. Under the guidance of leaders like Daniel Hayes and Emma Carter, Haven evolved into a society that valued freedom, innovation, and unity. Yet, despite their success, the settlers couldn't shake the feeling that they were alone in the universe or that someone might come looking for them someday. Little did they know, their fears were about to become reality. Document. Part 2. Generations passed on Haven, and the descendants of the exiles grew into a thriving society. The struggles of their ancestors faded into stories told around campfires or written in books. Yet, those tales were never forgotten. They served as reminders of where the people of Haven came from and why they had built their new world the way they did. Life on Haven was peaceful, but it wasn't without challenges. Every day, the settlers worked hard to ensure their survival, knowing that their future depended on their unity and determination. Ethan Cole's great-grandson, Alex Cole, was one of the many who carried forward the spirit of innovation that defined Haven. Unlike his ancestor, Alex wasn't a teacher or a scientist in the traditional sense. Instead, he was an engineer, someone who could take old scraps and turn them into something useful. From a young age, Alex showed a knack for solving problems. He spent hours tinkering with machines left behind by the colony ships, figuring out how they worked and improving them. By the time he reached adulthood, he had become one of Haven's most respected inventors. Rachel Monroe's legacy lived on through her writings, which were studied by every child in Haven's schools. Her granddaughter, Mia Thompson, followed in her footsteps, though in a different way. While Rachel had been a journalist uncovering truths, Mia was a historian preserving them. She traveled across Haven, collecting artifacts and interviewing elders to document the planet's history. Her work ensured that no one would forget the sacrifices made by the first settlers. Together, Alex and Mia became close friends, often working side by side to preserve Haven's past while building its future. Haven itself had changed dramatically since the days of the first settlers. What began as small scattered communities had grown into a network of towns connected by roads and rivers. The settlers had learned to farm the land efficiently, growing crops that thrived in Haven's unique climate. They raised animals adapted to the environment, creating a stable food supply. Over time, they even discovered minerals and metals buried beneath the surface, which they used to craft tools, machinery, and buildings. But what truly set Haven apart was its culture. The settlers had rejected the hierarchies and inequalities of Earth, choosing instead to build a society based on cooperation and mutual respect. Decisions were made collectively, with everyone having a voice. Leaders like Daniel Hayes and Emma Carter weren't rulers, they were guides, helping the community stay united and focused on common goals. This approach fostered a strong sense of belonging among the people of Haven. They saw themselves not just as individuals, but as part of something greater. Still, life wasn't perfect. There were disagreements, of course, and moments when tensions flared. Some settlers argued over how resources should be distributed, while others debated the best ways to prepare for potential dangers. But these conflicts were always resolved peacefully, thanks to the values instilled by the first generation. The memory of Earth's betrayal loomed large, reminding everyone of what could happen if division took root. As Haven prospered, its people began to dream bigger. They looked to the stars, wondering if there were other worlds like theirs out there. Explorers ventured beyond the planet's borders, using modified shuttles salvaged from the colony ships. These early missions revealed little more than barren moons and empty space, but they sparked a desire to explore further. The settlers realized that if they wanted to secure their future, they needed to understand the universe around them. This curiosity led to the creation of Haven's first observatory. built on a high ridge overlooking the largest settlement. It housed telescopes crafted from materials scavenged from the colony ships. At night, astronomers gathered there, gazing at the stars and mapping the heavens. Among them was Mia, who found joy in studying the patterns of distant galaxies. Alex often joined her, fascinated by the technology used to peer into the cosmos. Together, they dreamed of the possibilities that lay beyond Haven's skies. One evening, while examining data collected by the observatory, Alex noticed something unusual. A faint signal, barely detectable, seemed to be coming from outside the nebula that surrounded Haven. At first, he thought it might be interference or a glitch in the equipment. But as he analyzed the readings further, he realized it was a transmission of some kind. Excited and nervous, he shared his discovery with Mia. "What do you think it means?" Mia asked, her voice tinged with both wonder and worry. "I don't know," Alex admitted. "It could be natural, like a pulsar, or some kind of cosmic phenomenon. Or," he hesitated, unsure if he should say it aloud, "or it could be artificial." Mia's eyes widened. "You mean, from another civilization?" "Maybe," Alex said cautiously. "Or maybe from Earth." The possibility hung heavy in the air between them. For years, the settlers had assumed they were alone, hidden away behind the protective veil of the nebula. The idea that someone or something might have found them was both thrilling and terrifying. If the signal came from Earth, it raised questions about whether the planet still remembered Haven. Did they care? Were they watching? And if so, what did they want? Alex and Mia decided to keep their discovery quiet for now. They knew that news of the signal could cause panic or spark arguments among the settlers. Instead, they focused on gathering more information, hoping to learn the source of the transmission. Over the next few weeks, they worked tirelessly, analyzing data and refining their equipment. Their efforts paid off when they managed to isolate the signal and decode parts of it. What they found shocked them. The message wasn't random. It contained fragments of language, mathematical patterns, and coordinates. It seemed to be a beacon, designed to guide whoever received it toward a specific location. Most alarming of all, the signal bore similarities to Earth's communication systems. "It's them," Mia whispered one night, staring at the decoded data. "Earth knows we're here." Alex nodded grimly. "Or they will soon. We need to tell the Council." The Council, Haven's governing body, was composed of representatives from each settlement. When Alex and Mia presented their findings, the room fell silent. The implications were clear. Haven's isolation might be coming to an end. Some members of the council urged caution, suggesting they monitor the situation before taking action. Others argued for immediate preparations, fearing that Earth might send ships to reclaim the planet. Among the council members, two voices stood out. Ryan Brooks, a pragmatic strategist known for his cautious approach, advocated for secrecy and defense. "If Earth is looking for us, we can't let them find us unprepared," he said. "We need to strengthen our borders and develop weapons capable of protecting ourselves." Laura Bennett, a diplomat with a reputation for idealism, disagreed. "We don't know their intentions yet," she countered. "Perhaps they've changed. Maybe they're reaching out because they regret what they did. We owe it to ourselves, to humanity, to at least consider talking to them." The debate raged on, dividing the council and the settlers alike. Alex listened quietly, torn between the two perspectives. On one hand, he understood Ryan's concerns. Earth's betrayal was a wound that hadn't fully healed, and trusting them again felt risky. On the other hand, Laura's words resonated with him. Wasn't it possible that people could change? That forgiveness and reconciliation might lead to a better future? In the end, the council decided to wait. They agreed to monitor the signal closely and prepare defensive measures, but they wouldn't act aggressively unless provoked. Alex returned to his workshop, his mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. He knew that Haven's days of peace might be numbered, and that the choices they made now would shape the destiny of their world. As he worked late into the night, surrounded by blueprints and half-finished inventions, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that Haven was standing on the edge of something vast and unknown. The stars above held mysteries, opportunities, and perhaps dangers. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: the people of Haven would face it together, just as they always had. Document Part 3. The signal from beyond the nebula weighed heavily on everyone's minds. It was a constant topic of conversation in the streets, at dinner tables, and during council meetings. Some settlers dismissed it as nothing more than cosmic noise, while others saw it as proof that Earth had not forgotten them. The uncertainty gnawed at Haven's sense of security. For years, they had believed themselves safe, hidden away behind the thick clouds of the nebula. Now, that belief was shattered. Alex Cole spent most of his days and nights working on solutions. He knew that if Earth or anyone else was truly out there, Haven needed to be ready, using materials salvaged from old colony ships and resources mined from the planet. He designed upgrades for Haven's defenses. He focused on creating systems to detect incoming ships long before they reached the planet. At the same time, he worked on technology to cloak Haven's settlements, making them harder to find. His inventions were impressive, but they came at a cost. The strain of constant work began to show on his face, and Mia Thompson noticed. "You're pushing yourself too hard," she told him one evening as they sat together in his workshop. Tools and parts lay scattered across the room, and the faint hum of machinery filled the air. "You can't solve everything alone." "I'm not trying to solve everything," Alex replied, rubbing his tired eyes. I don't want us to end up like our ancestors. Cast aside, powerless. If we're going to survive, we need to be ready." Mia nodded, though her expression remained troubled. She admired Alex's dedication, but she worried about the toll it was taking on him. "Survival is important," she said softly, "but so is remembering who we are. We didn't come this far to become what Earth was, a place driven by fear." Alex didn't respond. He knew Mia was right, but fear wasn't something he could easily ignore. Every time he thought about Earth's betrayal, he felt anger. Beneath that anger, a deep unease. What would happen if Earth's leaders discovered Haven? Would they try to reclaim it? Or worse, destroy it? These questions haunted him, fueling his determination to protect their world. Meanwhile, tensions within Haven continued to grow. Ryan Brooks and Laura Bennett remained at odds, their opposing views dividing the settlers. Ryan's supporters argued that secrecy and strength were the only ways to ensure survival. They pushed for increased patrols around the planet and the construction of defensive weapons. Laura's followers, on the other hand, believed in reaching out to whoever had sent the signal. They hoped that communication could prevent conflict and lead to a better understanding between worlds. The debate reached a boiling point when astronomers detected movement outside the nebula. A small object, moving steadily toward Haven, appeared on their sensors. It wasn't large enough to be a ship, but its trajectory suggested purpose. The council convened immediately to discuss the situation. Everyone agreed that the object needed to be investigated, but opinions differed on how to proceed. "We should destroy it," Ryan said firmly. "If it's a probe or some kind of scout, it could be gathering information about us. Once Earth knows where we are, they'll send more." "That's assuming it's from Earth," Laura countered. "And even if it is, destroying it without knowing its purpose would make us know better than them. We should capture it and study it." In the end, the council decided to take a cautious approach. A team of engineers, led by Alex, would attempt to intercept the object and disable it before it entered Haven's atmosphere. If successful, they would bring it back for analysis. The mission was risky, but it offered a chance to learn more without escalating tensions. Preparations began immediately. Alex and his team worked tirelessly to modify one of Haven's shuttles for the task. Equipped with advanced scanners and tools capable of disabling electronic systems, the shuttle was designed to handle whatever they encountered. As the launch date approached, excitement and anxiety spread throughout the settlements. Everyone knew the outcome of the mission could shape Haven's future. On the day of the launch, a crowd gathered to watch the shuttle ascend into the sky. Alex stood at the controls, flanked by two other engineers, Carlos Rivera, a skilled mechanic, and Emily Dawson, an expert in robotics. Before boarding, Alex took a moment to look out at the faces of his fellow settlers. He saw hope, fear, and determination reflected in their eyes. For a brief moment, he felt the weight of their trust pressing down on him, but then he turned away, climbed aboard, and closed the hatch. The journey to the object was tense. As they drew closer, the shuttle's sensors revealed more details. It was indeed a probe, sleek and metallic, with multiple antennas extending from its surface. Its design was unfamiliar, yet undeniably advanced. Alex's heart raced as he guided the shuttle into position. "All right," he said to his team. "Let's get this done." Using remote-controlled drones, they carefully approached the probe. Emily operated the drones with precision, attaching devices to disable its propulsion system and communication array. The process was slow and nerve-wracking, but eventually, they succeeded. The probe went dark, drifting silently in space. With the probe secured, the team towed it back to Haven. When they returned, the entire settlement turned out to greet them. Cheers erupted as the shuttle landed, and Alex stepped out to applause. For the first time in weeks, there was a sense of relief and curiosity. What secrets did the probe hold? Over the next few days, scientists and engineers worked around the clock to examine the probe. They discovered that it contained encrypted data, fragments of which hinted at Earth's intentions. Maps of nearby star systems, detailed scans of planets, and even blueprints for advanced weaponry were stored within its memory core. Most alarming of all, the probe appeared to have been searching specifically for habitable worlds. "This confirms it," Ryan said during a council meeting. "Earth is looking for resources. They've sent probes like this to scout potential targets." Laura frowned. "Or maybe they're exploring for peaceful reasons. We don't know their motives yet." "Does it matter?" Ryan shot back. "Whether they're planning war or colonization, the result is the same. They'll see us as a prize to be claimed." The argument raged on, but Alex stayed silent. He had been studying the probe's blueprints, and what he saw troubled him deeply. The designs were for weapons, unlike anything Haven possessed, weapons that could devastate entire planets. Whoever had sent the probe wasn't just interested in exploration. They were preparing for domination. As the days passed, Alex found himself torn between the two sides. Ryan's warnings about Earth's dangers resonated with him, but Laura's call for diplomacy struck a chord as well. He wanted to believe that humanity could rise above its past mistakes, but the evidence pointed to darker possibilities. In the end, he realized that Haven couldn't afford to gamble with its future. They needed to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. One evening, as he walked through the quiet streets of the settlement, Alex stopped to look up at the stars. Beyond the protective veil of the nebula, countless worlds awaited, some friendly, others hostile. Haven was just one tiny speck in a vast universe, but it was home, and Alex swore to himself that he would do whatever it took to keep it safe. Unbeknownst to him, the probe's discovery marked only the beginning of a much larger story, one that would test Haven's strength, unity, and resolve in ways no one could have imagined. Document Part 4. The probe's discovery changed everything. Its encrypted data revealed Earth's growing interest in the stars, and the settlers of Haven realized their isolation was no longer guaranteed. The blueprints for advanced weapons were particularly unsettling. Alex Cole spent countless hours studying them, trying to understand how such technology worked. The designs were far beyond anything Haven had ever created, weapons capable of destroying entire planets with a single strike. It was clear that Earth's leaders weren't just exploring. They were preparing for war. News of the probe's contents spread quickly among the settlers, sparking fear and anger. Many felt betrayed all over again, as if Earth had reached out across the void not to reconnect, but to threaten. Some settlers argued that Haven should strike first, launching an attack on Earth before it could act. Others believed they should fortify their defenses and remain hidden, hoping Earth would overlook them. The council meetings became heated debates, with Ryan Brooks and Laura Bennett at the center of the conflict. Ryan's voice grew louder with each passing day. "We can't wait around for Earth to find us," he said during one meeting. "If we don't take action now, we'll lose everything our ancestors fought so hard to build." Laura shook her head, her tone firm but calm. "Attacking Earth would make us no better than them. We need to show restraint and focus on protecting ourselves, not escalating tensions." Alex sat quietly through these discussions, his mind racing. He understood both sides. Ryan's warnings about Earth's dangers were hard to ignore, especially given the evidence from the probe. But Laura's call for caution resonated with him too. Attacking Earth could lead to consequences none of them were prepared for. Still, Alex knew that doing nothing wasn't an option either. They needed a plan, one that balanced defense with diplomacy. In the weeks that followed, Alex threw himself into his work. Using the probe's blueprints as a guide, he began designing countermeasures. He focused on creating stealth technology to hide Haven's settlements from prying eyes. At the same time, he worked on upgrading Haven's orbital defenses, equipping them with weapons reverse-engineered from the probe's designs. It was risky, but Alex believed it was necessary. If Earth came looking for them, Haven needed to be ready. Mia Thompson watched Alex closely, noticing how consumed he was by his mission. She admired his dedication, but she worried about the path Haven seemed to be heading down. One evening, as they walked along the edge of a quiet forest clearing, she voiced her concerns. "You're building weapons now," she said softly. "Do you think that's what your ancestors would have wanted?" Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know what they would have wanted, but I do know this: if we don't protect ourselves, we'll end up like them, forgotten, cast aside, powerless." Mia nodded slowly. "And if we become too focused on fighting, will we still be the people who built this world? Will we still be Haven?" Her words lingered in Alex's mind long after their conversation ended. He couldn't shake the feeling that Mia was right, that Haven risked losing itself in its quest for survival. But what choice did they have? Earth's shadow loomed large, and the settlers couldn't afford to be naive. As Haven prepared for the possibility of conflict, strange things began happening outside the nebula. Ships passing near the area reported unusual energy readings, and faint signals hinted at activity within the cloud. The council debated whether to investigate further, but Ryan insisted they stay cautious. "If Earth knows we're here, revealing ourselves would only invite trouble," he said. Despite his caution, Ryan agreed to send small scouting parties to monitor the situation. These teams ventured close to the nebula's edge, staying hidden, while gathering intelligence. What they found confirmed everyone's worst fears. Earth's military presence in the region was growing. Dozens of ships patrolled nearby star systems, and construction sites suggested they were building new outposts. It was clear that Earth was expanding its reach, and Haven might already be on their radar. Back on the planet, tensions continued to rise. The settlers worked tirelessly to strengthen their defenses, knowing that every moment counted. Alex's inventions became central to their efforts, earning him praise from many, but also suspicion from some. A few settlers whispered that Alex was becoming too powerful, that his focus on weapons and technology threatened the values Haven was built on. Even Mia admitted she sometimes wondered if they were straying too far from their roots. Then, one fateful night, Alarms blared across the settlements. A massive fleet of ships had breached the nebula, emerging from the clouds like ghosts. There, silhouettes filled the sky, casting shadows over Haven's towns and fields. Panic spread quickly as settlers scrambled to prepare for the worst. Children were ushered into underground shelters, while volunteers manned defensive positions. Alex raced to the command center, where the council had gathered to assess the situation. Scanners showed that the fleet belonged to Earth, or at least to the same forces that had exiled Haven's ancestors centuries ago. The ships moved slowly, almost cautiously, as if searching for something. Then, without warning, they launched probes toward the planet's surface. "They're mapping us," Alex said grimly, analyzing the data. "They're trying to figure out where we are and how strong we are." Ryan turned to him, his expression grim. "Can we stop them?" Alex hesitated, then nodded. "We can try, but if we engage them directly, they'll know we're here for sure." Laura stepped forward, her voice steady, despite the tension in the room. "Let me talk to them. Maybe we can reason with them, explain that we're not a threat." Ryan shot her a sharp look. "Are you serious? After everything we've seen, you still think they'll listen?" "It's worth a shot," Laura replied. "If we fight, we risk losing everything. If we talk, we might stand a chance." The council deliberated briefly before agreeing to let Laura attempt contact. She broadcast a message to the fleet, identifying herself as a representative of Haven and requesting peaceful dialogue. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then, a reply came, a curt demand for surrender. "Leave this planet immediately," the transmission stated. "It belongs to Earth. Resistance will be met with force." The message sent shockwaves through the council. Earth hadn't forgotten. The MIT had been watching all along. Now, it wanted Haven back, not as allies, but as subjects. Alex clenched, his fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. "They don't care about us. We're just another resource to them." Ryan nodded grimly. "Then we'll give them a fight they won't forget." With no other options left, Haven prepared for battle. Alex activated the planet's orbital defenses, deploying cloaking fields to shield key settlements. Fighter drones took to the skies, ready to intercept incoming threats. The settlers braced themselves for the worst, knowing that their survival depended on unity and courage. When the first wave of Earth's forces attacked, chaos erupted. Explosions lit up the horizon as missiles struck Haven's defenses. The settlers fought back fiercely, using Alex's innovations to hold their ground. Though outnumbered, they managed to repel the initial assault, forcing Earth's fleet to retreat temporarily. But the victory came at a cost. Several settlements had been damaged, and lives had been lost. As the dust settled, the reality of their situation sank in. Earth wasn't going to give up easily. This skirmish was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. Alex stood atop a hill overlooking the battlefield, his heart heavy with grief and determination. He thought about his ancestors, the exiles who had come to Haven seeking freedom, vowed to honor their legacy. No matter what happened next, Haven would not fall without a fight. Far above, Earth's fleet regrouped, its commanders plotting their next move. They had underestimated Haven once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. For the settlers of Haven, the future was uncertain, but they were ready to face it together. Document Part 5. The victory against Earth's fleet was bittersweet. While the settlers of Haven had managed to repel the attack, the cost weighed heavily on everyone. Homes were destroyed, fields burned, and lives lost. The scars of battle lingered in the air, both physically and emotionally. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a sense of determination burned brighter than ever. The people of Haven knew they couldn't afford to let their guard down. Not for a moment. Alex Cole spent the days after the battle working tirelessly to repair and improve Haven's defenses. He inspected damaged equipment, patched up broken systems, and upgraded weapons based on what he had learned during the fight. The cloaking technology he had developed proved invaluable, hiding key settlements from Earth's sensors and giving Haven a crucial advantage. But Alex wasn't satisfied. He knew that Earth would return with greater force, and he wanted to be ready. Mia Thompson stayed by his side, documenting the aftermath of the battle for future generations. She interviewed survivors, recorded stories of bravery, and captured images of the destruction. Her work reminded everyone of what they were fighting for, not just survival, but the values their ancestors had brought to Haven. "We can't lose sight of who we are," she told Alex one evening as they worked, late into the night. "If we become like Earth, then we've already lost." Alex nodded, though his mind was elsewhere. He understood Mia's concerns, but he also knew that Haven's future depended on strength as much as ideals. "I don't want us to lose ourselves, either," he said. "But if we don't adapt, we'll disappear. We have to find a balance." Meanwhile, tensions within the council continued to simmer. Ryan Brooks pushed for immediate action, urging the settlers to expand their reach beyond Haven. "We can't stay here and wait for Earth to come back," he argued during a heated meeting. "We need to take the fight to them, find allies, secure resources, and build an empire strong enough to stand against Earth." Laura Bennett disagreed vehemently. "Building an empire, is that what we are now?" she asked, her voice sharp with frustration. "Our ancestors came here to escape oppression, not to recreate it. If we start conquering other worlds, we'll become exactly what we're fighting against." The debate raged on, dividing the settlers. Some supported Ryan's vision of expansion, seeing it as the only way to ensure Haven's survival. Others sided with Laura, fearing that such actions would corrupt the very foundation of their society. In the end, the council reached a compromise. Haven would explore nearby star systems cautiously, seeking resources and potential allies without resorting to aggression. It was a delicate balance, but one they hoped would keep them safe while staying true to their principles. Under Ryan's leadership, Haven began sending out small, cloaked ships to scout the surrounding region. These missions were kept secret, even from most of the settlers, to avoid panic or dissent. Alex played a key role in outfitting the ships with advanced technology, ensuring they could operate undetected. Each vessel carried a team of skilled explorers tasked with mapping uncharted planets, identifying valuable resources, and searching for signs of intelligent life. One of these teams, led by a young pilot named Sarah Hayes, made a groundbreaking discovery. During a routine survey of a distant star system, they stumbled upon a habitable moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon was rich in minerals and had a stable atmosphere, making it ideal for colonization. More importantly, there were no signs of Earth's presence in the area. When Sarah reported her findings to the council, excitement rippled through Haven. "This could be our chance," Ryan said during the next meeting. "A new settlement outside Haven, a backup plan in case Earth attacks again." Laura hesitated, her expression troubled. "Or it could be the first step toward something bigger, something we may not be able to control." Despite her reservations, the council voted to establish a colony on the moon. They named it Aurora, symbolizing hope and renewal. Teams of settlers volunteered to travel there, eager to help build a new home. Among them was Carlos Rivera, one of Alex's closest friends, who saw the mission as an opportunity to prove himself. Before leaving, he promised Alex he'd send regular updates as Aurora took shape. Haven's leaders realized the potential of expanding their influence. Over time, more expeditions were launched, each uncovering new opportunities. Hidden colonies sprang up across the galaxy, connected by a network of secret supply routes. This growing web of settlements became known as the Veil, a name chosen to reflect its purpose to remain unseen by Earth and any other threats. Alex played a central role in the Veil's development. His innovations transformed it from a loose collection of outposts, into a cohesive, self-sustaining empire. He designed faster, quieter ships capable of traveling vast distances without detection. He created communication systems that allowed colonies to stay in touch without revealing their locations. And he developed automated mining rigs that extracted resources efficiently, fueling Haven's growth. Yet, as the Veil expanded, so did the challenges. Managing dozens of far-flung settlements required coordination and trust, qualities that didn't always come easily. Some colonies struggled with isolation, cut off from Haven's main population. Others faced shortages or internal conflicts. To address these issues, the Council appointed regional overseers to maintain order and ensure cooperation. While most settlers embraced this structure, some resented the growing centralization of power. Mia noticed the changes to power as she traveled between settlements, collecting stories for her historical records. She saw how different places interpreted Haven's values. Some communities clung tightly to the ideals of freedom and unity, while others prioritized efficiency and security. She began to wonder if the Veil was drifting away from its original purpose, or if it had simply grown too large to hold together. Her concerns deepened when she visited Aurora. Though the colony thrived, its leaders seemed more focused on expansion than preservation. Talks of building weapons and fortifying borders dominated conversations, echoing Ryan's earlier arguments. When Mia raised questions about whether this aligned with Haven's founding principles, she was met with dismissive responses. "We're doing what we have to do to survive," one overseer told her bluntly. "You can't cling to old ideas when the world is changing around you." Mia returned to Haven, troubled by what she had seen. She shared her observations with Alex, hoping he might understand her unease. "Do you think we're losing ourselves?" she asked. "Are we becoming something darker?" Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "Maybe, but I don't see another way. If we don't grow stronger, we'll lose everything." His words offered little comfort. Mia feared that Haven's rapid expansion was eroding the very spirit that had made it special. Still, she couldn't deny the benefits the Veil provided. Its network of colonies ensured Haven's survival, offering refuge and resources in times of crisis. For better or worse, it had become a cornerstone of their society. Back on Haven, life slowly returned to normal lore, as close to normal as it could be. The settlers rebuilt what had been lost, fortified their defenses, and prepared for whatever came next. Earth's fleet hadn't returned yet, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Until then, they focused on strengthening their bonds and honing their skills. Alex continued to innovate, driven by a mix of pride and guilt. He took solace in knowing that his work protected Haven, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking a fine line between defense and domination. Late at night, as he stared at blueprints and schematics, he often thought about his great-grandfather Ethan and the sacrifices he had made. Would Ethan approve of what Alex had built, or would he see it as a betrayal of everything he had stood for? These thoughts haunted him, but Alex pushed them aside. There was no time for doubt, not when so much was at stake. Whatever happened next, he vowed to protect Haven and its people, no matter the cost. Unbeknownst to anyone, however, Earth wasn't idle. Its leaders had taken note of Haven's resistance and were planning their next move. Scouts prowled the edges of the nebula, gathering intelligence and mapping the Veil's hidden network. They knew Haven was stronger than they had anticipated, but they also knew its greatest weakness. Sooner or later, they would strike again, when they did, they intended to finish what they had started. For now, though Haven remained safe, behind its veil of secrecy, its people worked, dreamed, and lived, unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. They had built something extraordinary, a hidden empire born from exile and perseverance. But whether it could withstand the challenges ahead remained to be seen.